body fell heavy on the ground. Arlo rushed to the edge, calling for the king, but the only answer in the mist was the icy wind. The war was won, but Arlo could not feel the victory. He barely noticed his friends join him. The fellowship bowed their heads in honor of their brave king. The tale of this war would be as much of loss as of winning. They returned to the Crimson Keep in near silence, each with their thoughts. There would be no victory parades. Arlo heard a commotion ahead. In the throne room were raised voices. Bertil stood in front of Reggie's throne, holding the crown, asking who should now carry this burden. Dennis barged forward to claim it. He was brother of the king. It was his by birth. Robin stepped forward and proclaimed that Arlo was rightfully king. Without him, there would be no kingdom to rule. He had proved himself on the peak. He was not alone. Leaders of the clans stepped forward and echoed their favor of the warden. Arlo objected. He had no claim here. Bertil slammed his staff into the floor to silence the rising voices. He had a secret to tell. Arlo's father was King Rattus. Bertil himself had delivered him as a child to the warden. He had a claim, if he was willing to take it. Arlo felt the truth of it, and the paw of destiny seemed to push him forward to take his place upon the throne. Bertil placed the crown upon his head. The weight of rule was his now. Dennis had been forgotten in the shouts of joy from the clans. He raised his blade and swore vengeance. It was his birthright, and he would reclaim it from this usurper. Arlo set aside the warden and became the king. A new dawn broke over the land, bright and clear. The king sensed it would not last. The promise of his half-brother would surely mean war would come again. But that, as they say, is a tale for another time. Short-Tongue was panicked. He had seen the Sky Scorchers arrive from Mount Cauldron and knew what this meant for the safety of Bogmire Forge. He asked Arlo to hunt the beasts and rid them from the rift. The stench of the Toad Core's rotting body had drawn Arlo to the area, but it seemed like it had also attracted a hungry sky scorcher. As soon as the Toad Core eye hit the ground, Arlo knew he was in for a fight. Arlo wondered if it was him that was now being hunted. Arriving at the nest, Arlo was surprised to see a Toad Core, especially as they had become a favorite meal of the Scorcher. As the Toad Core scoffed down one of the eggs, it became very clear why it had been lured in. Arriving at the nest, Arlo was surprised to see a toad core, especially as they had become a favorite meal of the Scorcher. As the toad core scoffed down one of the eggs, it became very clear why it had been lured in. Arriving at the nest, Arlo was surprised to see a toad core, especially as they had become a favorite meal of the Scorcher. As the toad core scoffed down one of the eggs, it became... Arriving at the nest, Arlo was surprised to see a toad core, especially as they had become a favorite meal of the Scorcher. And as the toad core scoffed down one of the eggs, it became very clear why it had been lured in. With the Sky Scorcher vanquished, Arlo toyed with the idea of destroying its last surviving egg. Deciding to keep the egg, Arlo was sure it would be useful in the future. The young builders saw an opportunity in the derelict mine. If only they could find some rat to give them the cash infusion they needed to bring it back to life. Work on the mine was well underway. They promised a constant supply of minerals and ores to whoever could fund the rest of the development. Sky Scorchers that had escaped from Mount Cauldron had made their way to the outskirts. The farmers of Mossbug Farm were worried for their livestock. Arlo knew better. They should be worried for their own lives. Tracking the beast revealed to Arlo that the farmers need not worry about their livestock, as for now, the Sky Scorcher had bigger prey in its sights. Now that the beast was injured, the sheep bugs were a prized snack. Arlo knew he needed to stop the Sky Scorcher before it barbecued the whole flock. Upon tracking the beast to its nest, Arlo wondered if he had made a mistake. But he soon realized that it was this monster bird that was mistaken. The egg in that nest was no monster bird egg. Tracking the beast revealed to Arlo that the farmers need not worry about their livestock, as for now, the Sky Scorcher had bigger prey in its sights. Now that the beast was injured, the sheep bugs were a prized snack. Arlo knew he needed to stop the Sky Scorcher before it barbecued the whole flock. tracking the beast to its nest, Arlo wondered if he had made a mistake. He soon realized that it was this monster bird that was mistaken. The egg in that nest was no monster bird egg. The Sky Scorcher was defeated. Its singular egg gleamed in the nest. Destroying it felt like a waste for such a rare item. Arlo wondered if he could be the first rat to discover how to hatch a Scorcher egg. The owls of Nestminster were flustered. The Darkwings captured Sky Scorchers had made their way to the Golden Forest. If they were allowed to nest in the forest, then it would not be long before they rendered it to a pile of smoking ashes. The Sky Scorchers had been busy scouting the Golden Forest for a meal. Arlo knew he needed to stop them before they were able to nest and lay eggs. Although there was no nest, it was clear that this Sky Scorcher was preparing a meal for its soon-to-hatch offspring. Although Arlo was too late for this owl, he was determined to protect Nestminster. The cultists defending the Scorcher's Nest were clearly looking for a new leader. Arlo would kill 2 birds with 1 stone today. With the Sky Scorcher defeated, the threat to the Golden Forest was gone. As Arlo looked down into the Scorcher's nest, the single egg glimmered in his eyes. Unable to bring himself to destroy it, Arlo kept it for himself. Who knew if it would come in handy later? With the mine now fully functional, ore flowed from the depths to the surface. Arlo knew he could make good use of it.